How do you know about Balak and Tigmo? These are just two of the Visayan literature that we are going to talk about today. Let's start with Balak and Tigmo. Balak is poem in English and tula in Filipino. Part of the culture of the Visayans is serenading the ladies with a song and a poem. As a Bolano, I witnessed that romantic way of courting when I was a child. Tigmo, on the other hand, is riddle in English and bugtong in Filipino. We had fun playing with riddles as well. This was a way of improving our thinking skills. For example, in this Tigmo, dorong tago, pero nakita ang ulo. And we had this contest of who could answer first. So the answer for that riddle is a wood nail. For a wood nail, its body is hiding, but still you could see its head. And those childhood memories were really unforgettable. This is Teacher L. I'm reminding you to please like, subscribe, share, and press the notification bell after watching this video. Let me introduce to you the pride of the Visayans, our multi-awarded writers, and one of their famous works. We have Noel Tuzon, Pagsunod sa Badles, Genevieve Asenjo, Lumbay ng Dila, Rizel Mojares, Philippine History, Marjorie Evasco, Ochre Tones, Cecilia Manguera Brainerd, Magdalena, Erlinda Alboro, Dulaang Cebuano, Adonis Dorado, Dili Tanang Matagak, Mahagpong. We also have Victor Insogbo, Taburos Handagat, Merly Alunan, Sacred Tree, Janice Claire Salvacion, Tingog Nanay, Manuel Avenedo Jr., Panagtige, Corazon Almerino, Sinugang, Carla Kim Singh, Manga, and Simeon Dumdum Jr. for Marawi. We only have 3 political regions in the Visayas. These are Region 6, 7, and 8. Region 6 is Western Visayas, and its language is Panayanon. Region 7 is Central Visayas, and its language is Cebuano. And Region 8 is Eastern Visayas, and its language is Waray. Let's talk about Western Visayas languages and influences of literatures. The dialects used in Western Visayas are Hiligaynon, Ilonggo, Kinaraya, and Aklanon. Their literatures include indigenous forms, pieces influenced by the Spaniards, works seeking for reform and revolution, and contemporary forms. They also have Panayanon Sabi and Hiligaynon Binalaybay, which are the general forms of poetry. They have Horobatan or proverbs, which are works of didactic in nature, meaning they give moral lessons. They also have Paktakon or riddles. So Paktakon is the Western Visayas language for riddles, not Tigmo. These are the short forms of poetry. Hiligaynon tradition based on its purpose and theme is present in poetry. Ritual prayers, asoy or narrative poems, and sugilanon or prose narratives are in the forms of myths, legend, folktales, and trickster tales, which also existed. Western Visayas literatures also have Vedas or stories about lives of saints. Sermons, dialogues, exempla or moral anecdotes, and gozes or hymns, which are examples of non-secular literary pieces. They also have composo or Ilonggo ballad, which is an example of secular literary piece. Versified dramas are represented by the comedia or moro-moro, and Hiligaynon drama, which is a prose play, is considered as prescriptive literature which promotes good manners and right conduct. Patriotic verses were also produced due to the resistance of both the Spanish government and the American colonization. Subjects and literary traditions vary, but always respond to social situations of the times. Sugilanons or short stories and novels were also introduced in Western Visayan literature. We have the famous Western Visayas writers. They are Milagros Jeremiah, John Baltia, Alex Santos, and Alice Dan Gonzalez. This time, let's have the literature of Central Visayas. Cebuano is the predominant language of Cebu, Bohol, and Negros Oriental, and is the medium in composing Balak. Balak is the generic term for Cebuano poems, which became part of people's way of life, as it is the means of expression in everyday life and in every social occasion. Duplo, Balitaw, and Kulasisi are forms of Balak and became versions of debate. Philippine artistry is depicted through the use of tanghaga or talinghaga in Tagalog or a metaphor in English. Short verses are in the forms of couplets like sanglitaan or proverbs and tigmo or riddle. Now let's talk about the influences in Visayan literature. The Spaniards made the native literary pieces religious by nature. The Americans formalized the poetic expression and made the writers socially conscious and produced pieces that were in the forms of social and political commentaries. Plays and short stories or sugilanon came into existence, and so with periodicals. Cebuanos published their works in Bisaya magazine. The writers' organization saved the publications during the war. And now let's proceed to Eastern Visayas literature. Waray literature is its literature. Its oral lore includes folk songs, titikuhon or riddles, ismailing and susumaton or tales. Its written literatures were in the forms of essays and satirical and humorous poetry, which were published in newspapers. It includes poetry written by the New People's Army of Samar, and the development of Waray drama gave way to their version of Moro Moro or Hadi Hadi and Sarswells. Now your test is to find the imagery found in Pansit, which is a poem by Adonis Dorado. Let's review the senses. We have sense of sight, which is visual, sense of hearing, which is auditory, sense of smell, which is olfactory, sense of taste, which is gustatory, and sense of touch, which is tactile. Are you ready? Pansit ni Adonis Dorado. Mahadlok ko sa una kung gutuman si Papa ma. Dili siya mukaon. Ang platong gisudlan nimo sa sudan mo kalitlag hagtok sa imong bagol-bagol. Ug sama kaguba sa karaan natong banggira ang mga balikas ni Papa. Letse, atay, yawa. Wa ka ba'y laing ipakaon nako kung di puros lang pansit? Labas pa kaayo kanako hangtod karon ma, ang repolyong sagol sa pansit. Nahinumdum pa ko sa kahumot sa hebe, ug tambok sa ginisang baboy, nga nanabit sa imong buhok. Diin sa nagkamantika nimong dangoy-ngoy, gipuga sa atong bintana, ang nalimonsitong buwan. These are the sense of sights or visual imagery that are found in the poem. Plato or plate, bagol-bagol or forehead, karaang banggira or old wooden kitchen sink, pansit or noodles, repolyo or cabbage, hebe or dried shrimp, tambok sa baboy or pork fat, limoncito or Philippine lime, and buwan or moon. These are the sense of sound or auditory from the poem. This is for you to understand better, especially if you are not Cebuano. Hagtok means sound after the plate was thrown to the mother's forehead. Balikas or courses that the other's father uttered, like litsi, atay, and yawa. And dangoy or moans of mother's cry of pain. You could finish analyzing this poem by looking at some other senses found in the poem, the figurative languages like simile, metaphor, and symbolism. You could also reflect about the role of naglimonsitong buwan in the life of the author. You could use biographical and feminism approaches in your critical analysis. This has been Teacher L. Again, don't forget to click like, subscribe, and the notification bell. Up next, we will have Japanese literature.